Hi, I'm Ola G-Day.
And I am Louisa.
And together we are SISU, and this is On the Sofa with SISU. Let's get into it. How was your week?
Well, as I said to you on the way here, this week has just been a little bit wild. I feel like I have got so much going on in my head right now. I feel like I've hardly seen Maze. Obviously, we had the wrap-up of the anti-racist roadshow for Turtle Bay, which was brilliant. Last one on Thursday, we were in Northampton. That was amazing. But I think over the few weeks, because it's just been a bit of a shock to the system, as in like super early mornings and commutes, and then like not seeing Maisie very much, it's just like, it's drained me, even though I feel like really grateful to have done it. It's made me feel so exhausted and like, yeah, I think really unhealthy as well. Like, you know, I've been sending you my receipts, like, what am I eating? Pizza, burrata, coffee.
So many coffees. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, this week I've just felt a little bit like, meh.
The road life is tough life.
I know. I said to Ricky, who is my partner, I said...
And Maisie's her daughter.
Maisie's my daughter.
Not her dog.
They sometimes. I said to him, I don't know how you do it, Ola G-Day. I really don't. I like 3 nights a week sometimes, every week. Like, it's a tough slog.
It is. You got used. I know. Thank you. Someone's got to do it, right?
But the week's been really nice. We wrapped it up with a really lovely weekend in the Cotswolds, which was amazing. Thank you for organising that.
Yeah.
How was your
It was
week?
my birthday celebration this month, so we have... I wouldn't say I've celebrated all month, really.
No.
Celebrating on my birthday weekend, which my birthday is the 6th of January for all of those that want to send presents. My address is... So my birthday's at the beginning of the month, and we celebrated it at the end of the month, which was nice because it was like the end of like the roadshow. Like, we've been doing the roadshow all month. We've been all over the country, so it's a nice way to end. And yeah, the Cotswolds was divine.
Lit.
I just feel like it's just one of those places that I just always feel really quite... I want to say scented, but I don't know if I was that scented this weekend. But like just slightly zened, and just always feel like this is such a beautiful place of the world to chill. I'd love to have a house in the Cotswolds one day.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, affirmation.
Dream.
Put it out there. But yeah, my week has been similar to yours. It has been wild. And I feel like, yeah, similar to you, I think a bit drained from travelling. Do you know what I said the other day to Sean? I said, and Sean's my partner, I said to Sean, I said, travelling on the train with a suitcase and a backpack is a full-on workout.
Yeah.
It's a full-on workout. Carrying your suitcase up and down stairs, from hotel to restaurant, restaurant to hotel, back to the train station, down the stairs, up the stairs. Honestly, my back is killing.
And then the breakfast on top.
What breakfast? Oh yeah, and then you buy the
And you have to buy
breakfast
the
for the
breakfast,
teams, and
yeah.
you're like, "Here's breakfast," and I'm literally like crying.
Bag
Honestly,
lady.
it's a lot. You're literally like this, walking down the street, wobbling around. It's ridiculous. But yeah, it has been pretty. I feel really blessed because the training team that have helped us, support us with the rolling out of this workshop, have been incredible. The feedback's been great. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more. So that's been amazing. So that was this week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. How could I forget?
Woo! Award winner, darling.
Award winner.
Tell us what your award is for.
It's hefty, by the way. It's like, it's loud.
You're gonna break James's counter.
It's loud. So I'm very, very lucky. Feel very blessed to have won an award with the team at Turtle Bay and the team at the Fitting Room, who are our agency at Turtle Bay. And we won an award for Innovation of the Year. So the Innovation of the Year was from, we created... So Black History Month is something that I get really fucking bored with. Like, I'm bored of seeing the same stuff, and I'm bored of people asking me, what should we do for Black History Month? Who should we get to speak about Black history? And I'm like, Black History Month needs to have evolved. And so when I got asked at Turtle Bay, what should we do for Black History Month? I was like... I was like, let's do something really different. Like, let's fucking go out there, celebrate Black joy, but do it where we're actually like investing in businesses and we're showcasing those businesses and we're shining a light.
We've been saying for ages it needs to be reinvented.
It needs to be
and more continuous.
Yeah, it needs to be really continuous. So what we did was that we went out and we collaborated. So Turtle Bay Restaurants are a Caribbean-inspired restaurant brand. They've got 48 restaurants across the country. 47, sorry, it's 48's coming. 47 restaurants across the country. And they, so we collaborated with The Gleaner, which is the Jamaican newspaper, to create a 20-page, which actually turned out to be 40. We started at 20. It was turned out to be 40-page newspaper, glossy newspaper with articles about food, music, money, health, E&I, but all from Black content creators. So, you know, all celebrating Black businesses with Black creators, Black content writers, Black editor. Everyone was paid. Because that's really important. I cannot tell you how many times I've been asked to speak or something or be included in something and not be paid for it.
The fact that you have to make the statement that everyone was paid. Like,
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's so bad, isn't it? Like, slavery is over. Isn't it? Is it not? I don't know. That's another subject. But, yeah, so the newspaper was amazing. And do you know what made my heart melt is that there was the team members at Turtle Bay wrote some articles that were included in the newspaper about their journey and their story and their connection with Turtle Bay. Yeah. And it was just really magical. So we won the award for that. And to win an award like that, you know, restaurant innovator marketing awards is normally based around stuff that people, I guess, would class as innovative that they are used to seeing. I think winning the award for something like this, which was celebrating Black History Month and doing it really differently and daring to be really like authentic, daring to be like leaders in and stuff in this space, and winning for that, I think is really amazing, especially for the first time. And so like when we won the award, I was just like, do you know what, this is for Black people.
Yeah.
This is for us trying to change our own narrative because no one else is wanting to change it. And this is for a company actually going, we're going to listen to you and we're going to take the risk and we're going to do something amazing, and it's paid off. So
I wish you put the newspaper in. It's a brilliant newspaper.
Well, we'll put the link in the show notes and people can go and read the newspaper. It's online. So
yeah, good idea.
That's probably a better way of showing the newspaper.
Yeah.
I thought about that beforehand. But yeah, really, really proud of the team at Turtle Bay and the team at the Fitting Room for this award. It's incredible. And I know now that this is the start of many, many awards. So watch this space. This table will be filled soon. So my week
100.
really was incredible because I just felt really blessed. And yeah, the Cotswold was a lovely way to end it. So yeah.
And celebrate.
Whoop, whoop. I'll put it away now because Louisa said it doesn't need to be out all the time.
You're sleeping with it.
I am sleeping with it. I am currently.
You now have an attachment disorder to your award.
But yeah, so that was our week. That was us, you know, getting into it. Let's talk about some of the tea that's out there right now in the news.
Some of the tea.
Some of the tea out in the news. Spill it to me. What's first? What have you heard? What's going on? What's the word on the street?
What's the word on the street?
Word on the street. Word on the street.
Well, I feel so under pressure.
Tell me.
What? Well, what about Lee Ryan? Naughty little Lee Ryan. What he's been doing.
Share us the article.
Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, just for people that don't know, maybe just like share like a synopsis.
So basically, blues singer Lee Ryan has been found guilty of racially aggravated assault and common assault, I believe. But he took a flight and on the aircraft, basically one of the flight attendants, he seemed to take a little shining to, but the way that he was delivering that was not okay. He made comments such as, "You're my chocolate darling, you're my chocolate cookie, want to have your chocolate children." Told her, went up behind her, whispered in her ear at one point, like, I'm going to get a kiss from you before the end of this flight. Yeah. turned around, and then she apparently asked him to move away, and then she turned around and he grabbed her wrists, and she was like, it was very intimidating, thought that he was going to go in for a kiss before actually it was the passengers that intervened.
Wow.
On that. And then I think later on then had a scuffle with the police, bit a policeman, and now he's up in court.
Wow.
Yeah. Sentencing's on 24th of Feb, I think.
I'll be listening to see what happens there, because
Well, it'd be interesting, won't it, to see what the sentencing is.
Yeah, because I feel like you kind of need to make a what's it called when you like make someone.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, like when you make
a show of somebody.
Not make a show of them, but like make a point that he's made a mistake.
James,
and that.
What is it?
An example! You need to make an example of him, because what he has done is he has made someone feel uncomfortable in their own workspace.
Yeah.
Made someone feel unsafe in their own workspace. And he's made the customers on that plane feel unsafe on the paid service.
Yeah.
This
is her point. I think her name's Leah Gordon, and she said, I don't get up to go to work today to be abused or assaulted.
No.
I get up to go to work. Like, just it doesn't matter what the intent was behind it, regardless of whether he intentionally meant to be racist or whether he didn't. It's not okay.
No.
For her to feel like that at work.
And I think if I remember correctly when I read the snippet of this article, is that his defence in court was, and I quote, "I have a black band member. I am not racist."
Yeah, I've had black girlfriends. I've had mixed race girlfriends. Like, all of that.
So we've just come off the anti-racism roadshow.
He might as well have got up there and said, I don't see colour.
I don't see colour. Honestly, so we literally have spent the whole of the last month talking to teams and people about colour blindness and about this non-racist versus anti-racist kind of culture. But I wouldn't even say that he was non-racist. That is racism.
Yeah.
That he is racist. And his defence for that is, because I have an association with a black person, I cannot possibly be racist.
Yeah.
I always find that is such a bad defence. And it's actually embarrassing for him and for Simon, bless Simon. But yeah. Simon is, you need to say something. I want Simon to make a statement and be like...
It would be cool if Simon spoke out, wouldn't it, and said something. I didn't realise until this morning that he's said absolutely nothing. He's been mute.
Yeah. I mean, what do you say? Because I don't actually know. I don't actually know if you did that. What would I say? I don't actually know what I would say. I would be like, she had some tendencies sometimes, I suppose.
I think you're absolutely throwing me under the bus.
I'd be like, there was moments where actually...
That's exactly what you would do.
No, I guess...
I always knew she was a bad egg.
I guess it's quite hard for him. Maybe he doesn't know what he could say, right? Like, what's he going to...
Hang on a minute, though. These people are like, supposed to be famous in the limelight. Surely they've got like PR and all of that jazz, like, to fluff them up something.
But don't you find that when it comes to like things like this, when it's around racism or discrimination and stuff like that, the PR agencies don't know what to say?
I mean,
and
sometimes,
so silence becomes the only thing.
Yeah, there's a few things, actually, I think that, like, topics that PR agencies, famous people, they have to like steer clear of, because actually if they do say the wrong thing, or anything they say can be sort of manipulated into the wrong thing, even if it wasn't the wrong thing in the first place, that they do kind of have to stay away from it, I suppose. Like, and
you've got this whole cancel culture, so as soon as you say the wrong thing, you're cancelled. And I think so people just like don't say anything because that doesn't get you cancelled sometimes. Yeah. And it's hard, but if I was Simon, I probably would come out and just say like, along the lines of, I don't think what he's done is right. At least saying I don't think what he's done is right. Lee needs to go and get some further education and some learning and unlearn some bad habits.
Yeah, something as simple as
something like that. I think would be fine. And I think because it's just people are like just desperate to see what he's got to say. But anyway, I'm desperate to hear what he's got to say. But yeah. Interesting. Let's see what he gets. I also don't think that they'll give him the sentencing that he deserves. No,
most likely be some sort of like community service and a suspended sentence.
Yeah. He's not going to get jail time, is he?
Probably not.
No.
I'm so pessimistic, but probably not.
No.
But that's a whole other conversation about flawed
in the
justice system.
Justice system. We'll come on to that. It's a nice juicy subject for another day. The other thing that I saw in the news that I wanted to bring up was who run the world, girls? Who run the world, girls?
Apparently.
Beyonce. I'm so torn because the woman is my everything. And she's fucked it.
For your entire life, she has literally been the number one.
She has. And now...
And being from the LGBT community, how do you feel about her being in a country, putting on a performance whereby it is illegal to be in a same-sex relationship, or display that, and also... She didn't sing any songs from her new album, Renaissance.
So just giving it out there for the listeners, Beyonce recently performed at the Atlantis Hotel in Dubai. She was paid a staggering, ridiculous, obnoxious amount of money, 24 mil. Would someone pay me 24 mil to stand there, please, and sing? Because I'm good.
Oh.
But yeah, so
Beyonce
was paid 24 million to sing at the Atlantis opening hotel in Dubai. Dubai has obviously got some strict laws around LGBT, and it's illegal to be homophobic, to be a homo. It's illegal to same-sex marriage, same-sex relationships are illegal, and. Yeah, so she performed. But not only did she perform, loads of other celebrities attended this shindig. So the question I'm battling with is, why did you do it? And not only did you do it, it's like she either was told to do it and she was going to get paid this money, and she decided that I'm not going to give you everything because you don't deserve everything as a country. So I'm going to sing this old songs and not give you any new stuff. Or she was told, this is probably the most likely, she was told, don't sing that gay shit. Don't sing that gay shit here, okay? But you can serve your 24 mil, but keep it clean. And that's what she did. She kept it clean. And now you watch the performance as well. It is like she is uncomfortable.
Yeah,
she's actually uncomfortable.
But I wasn't sure if it was the dress that she was wearing.
Even her dress, even her outfits. I love you, but the outfits were not even outfitting. Do you know what I mean? They weren't giving me anything. I was like...
It was boring.
Yeah, it was boring. And everyone was like, oh, she went on this thing and she was like...
Up in the air.
And I was like, so?
Yeah.
It was boring. It was just a really boring performance. So I'm disappointed because... Like you said, I've held her to high regard for a long time, and I kind of feel like she's always done the right thing at the right time. She's always spoken up about things at the right time, and she's always done a lot for the LGBT community and for the black community, and I feel like she's just let herself down, and I don't know if it's because she saw the dollar signs and just thought, well, that's me sorted.
But she's already sorted.
No, but greed. Greed is disgusting, and that's why, I will remain poor.
Do not make that the money. Do not.
I don't want to be at a point where I'm so rich that if someone dangles another fruit in my face, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get it regardless of what that's going to do for anybody else. And I feel like that's where she's got to, potentially. I'm sorry, B.
I know. Do you think that happens? Like, you can't, hold on to your humbleness.
Yeah.
When you start gaining P.
Because I can't think of any celebrity that earns a lot of money that I'm like, you've got some morals and they're really ingrained in everything that you do. So everything you do is always... And I guess...
I don't know. I feel like the ones that really try to stay out of the limelight and the press are the ones that are probably a bit more humble with their cash money.
Well, I was listening to a podcast the other day from... Brene Brown, and it was Unlocking Us, Brene Brown, if everyone wants to listen to it. It was her last episode, and this is the statement that she made was, or the question she posed was, do you think everyone's doing the best they can? And I do believe that everyone's doing the best that they can with the tools that they have at the time that they have the tools, and in the situation that they find themselves in. So I feel like she potentially was doing the best that she could because she wanted to get herself
felt
out
she
there.
could.
She felt she could at that time. Whether or not that was the right thing to do or not, I don't know. But the thing is, I also just wanted to come out and speak about it. Like, come out and tell us why you did it.
Also, this could be part of a bigger plan to, like, this is the start of an infiltration.
It could be.
And then...
But if no one knows that, by the time you infiltrate, you'll have no one.
Well, yeah, true.
Because she's is she losing people as well? She's not really.
I don't think she is. I think that
not...
there's been a lot of people from the community that have spoken out to defend her.
But I find it weird because we didn't do that for David Beckham.
Yeah, so then the difference that people are saying, the difference is, what I hear on the grapevine is that Beyonce was paid privately by, you know, a bunch of people who
Rich people own
hotels, yeah, hoteliers, and David Beckham was financed by the government, who obviously make the policies and the laws for the country. So that's where I hear the difference is. Whether or not that makes it okay, I don't know.
Yeah, I do feel like people hold people accountable in very different ways.
I think that that's kind of a little piece to try and, like, put a little safety net under Beyonce.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Because I think she's gone against her morals.
Yeah.
Her values and beliefs.
For money.
And I think, yeah, then that doesn't hold much integrity.
No. At least if you're going to do it, make a statement about why you're doing it, or to make a statement afterwards, before or after, so that people know.
That's it. It's like what we say to organisations that we work with. Like, communication is key.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You can't. You have to be careful. You have to be careful with what you do, where you do it, because otherwise you're going to hurt people.
Yeah.
And those people are the people that have invested in you and got you to where you are now. So, like, the fact that she didn't perform Renaissance is like
that's the you know, the thing that's niggling at me.
Yeah.
It's like, why didn't you do any of your new songs?
Yeah.
They're so good.
But we'll never know. But yeah, so nice to get into the topics sometimes, isn't it? Just to unpack some of the news. Those are the two articles that we've both seen this week. I think that's enough. Otherwise, we'll end up talking about the news for the whole show. Oh dear. So the next thing in our that we're going to discuss today is all around kind of equality, inclusion in the wider world, I guess, and kind of the topic we've decided to pick today is valuing diversity. Valuing diversity, equity, equality, and inclusion. Just valuing the work. So valuing is definitely the overarching word.
Valuing.
Value. I could do that as a voiceover. So let's get into it. So I feel like, you know, DEI work is work that no one really has an understanding, I guess, around the money or the value that goes alongside it. And it's always a very interesting conversation when you get into businesses, and because we don't initially talk about money. Like, money for us is not like the big thing. You know, for us, it's about really collaborating and partnering up with these businesses to really have an ongoing partnership and relationship with them. That's at the forefront of our mind all the time. So when it comes down to the tea, when it comes down to the money, and people are like, "Oh, we've got no budget," it's slightly disappointing because you feel like it'd be nice if people did come into the conversation with the budget already, but we're more than happy to kind of talk you through how you put the budget aside and then starting small and then growing as you get along. I think the businesses where it works really well, wouldn't you say, is ones where we've gone in and people have said, yeah, we've got some money aside.
Yeah, absolutely. Or even if, you know, it's a straight up honesty. We haven't quite worked out what the budget is for this work yet, but this is why we wanted to have this initial conversation with you so that we can kind of get a feel and idea around what we need to do, so we then it's easier for us to allocate the budget to it. So it's kind of like working backwards in a way.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Yeah. I think it's all about honesty and opening up that conversation with the honest and trusting dialogue.
Yeah, and I think it's getting a better understanding that the more you invest in this work, the more impactful it can be, because there is so much you can do with it. And, the more you do, the better. But we're not saying that you need to spend millions of pounds.
No.
What we're saying is that you need to think of it as you're investing back into your people, and eventually your people will give you back what you've invested in.
Absolutely. And I think also it's about like not just spending a lot of money in one period of time and then being like, right, we'll have these like 2 workshops in this summer and we'll spend $6,000 on it and then that's it, done. It's like we want to build the strategy out, and it needs to be like over the course of the year. That's really where the investment is it the time and the journey, and then the budget comes after.
I just think that people maybe don't understand the emotion and the time and the creativity it takes. None of this stuff is off the shelf, is it really? Because you don't just go on and
not with us, no.
Well, not with us.
I think there are consultancies that do off the shelf.
Oh, she's spilling it. She's spilling it all over the place.
Bespoke, darling.
We are bespoke, which does mean that we take a lot more time and effort, and it's more creative. And I think people sometimes forget that time is money. Time is money. Emotions is tax, and like emotional tax is huge. Like we just said, we spent the whole month going around talking to people around how to be an anti-racist, and sharing stories that are really, emotive and triggering and traumatic. We share a lot of our stories and a lot of stories that we've heard from our friends and our network, and that is all emotional tax, and that takes a lot out of people. And it's really hard to put a value on that time and on that tax.
That is a perfect example, though, isn't it, of like where it's been successful. Turtle Bay have gone into this knowing exactly what they want to spend on it. They have had a big budget, knowing exactly what they want to spend on it, building out the work, bringing everybody into it, and the success already of it is unbelievable. You've got people coming out of these sessions who have walked in there thinking, can't be asked, absolutely CBA,
and they're walking in going,
not thinking that they're not
what am I
going to
learn about racism? What is Turtle Bay going to teach me about racism?
Exactly. And then the feedback from it has actually just been unbelievable, unreal. You've got those people walking out feeling like enlightened and inspired and like empowered and motivated to do more, and that's the success.
James,
that is the example.
James, what's an example? What would you like an example of, James?
For example, remember I actually voice noted you the other day, and I was like, this is such a highlight for me, because last year we started doing this work with Turtle Bay, and we started with the Power Inclusion workshop, and we did it with the ops manager, and there was an ops manager in there who came in with a very closed mind, quite defensive, had the whole like typical white fragility, privilege kind of outlook, defensive, a little bit challenging, and I was like, oh God, so annoying, like shush. And he was in my session last week for the All About Race workshop, and when he walked in, I was a bit like, oh, God. And then, I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah, you were like, oh God, here we go. Because in the first session that we did, he had some comments that were just a bit like, you shouldn't be saying things like that as a leader, and you should be...
Bit of a Lee Ryan.
Yeah, bit of a Lee Ryan. You should just be taking it all in right now and, maybe keeping the commentary to the minimum. But he didn't. And he was kind of like quite oppositional about everything that we were saying, and like everything was like, he was taking it personally, basically.
Yes, he was. And then anyway, we got into the workshop, and he sat down, and he was so involved and engaged, and he was like so honest, and he was talking about like how his first experience of racism was like through his grandparents and how racist they were, and that he's like realised that now as you get older you really have to address your own biases, and you have to address racism within yourself to be able to tackle it. And I was like, yes, sir! Yes, sir! I was like, yes, A student,
Yeah, he had a proper
And-
360, didn't he?
Yeah.
360,
Yeah.
180.
360 is when you go all the way around, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you want to play it?
All the way around. He went all the way around and came back again and was like, I am here for this.
Yeah. It was so
bless him.
nice. It was such a nice feeling.
It was actually really nice hearing the voice note from you because I was like, because I had actually seen it from him already because I'd done a session with him already on the Race Road show. Yeah. So I was excited to see how you found it, him, and if you'd seen the growth, and I was really like happy.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like that's where you go, this is impactful. This is making a difference. And like I had someone walk into the session, roll their eyes, and went, I don't actually know why I'm here because I am a person of colour and I don't feel like this is going to be teaching me anything.
Yeah.
And then they left the session saying, I actually have learned so much more because there were so many words and terminology around race and racism that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
And there's also so many different ways to be racist that I didn't know existed. And I've actually also learned that my colleagues have seen or experienced different types of racism because everyone always thinks that racism is a black thing.
Yes.
Like, and it's like race is black, white, Asian. It's all the colours under the sun.
Yeah.
Like race can happen to anyone, and so it was nice for him to experience that race happening to some of his white colleagues in certain situations in certain areas, and he walked out of there going, I'm really grateful that you came here, and I'm really grateful that I decided to come because I've learned so much. And he was really grateful and thanked. He gave me a hug, gave me a really good, nice hug, and it was really nice. And I think those are the reasons why you do this work, right? This is what you do it for those like
100%.
those little
Nuggets,
yeah. And like I always say to people, because the training team the last couple of weeks have all been like, there's been quiet people in the sessions that haven't really spoke up, and I don't know if they're seeing the value of this. I don't know if they're enjoying it. And I'm like, do you know what? You can't change the opinion of every single person that walks into your workshop.
No.
You can only sometimes change the opinion of one person. If you change the opinion of one person, they're going to go off and change the opinion of someone else, and that's how it starts to make change.
Absolutely.
You don't make change by going into a room and trying changing everyone's opinion. You go into a room and try and change one person's opinion, and then they'll carry that on and move it around.
Pay it forward.
Yeah. And that's what I think I've started to understand and see the value of the work that we do.
Yeah.
Just those one little conversations that we have with one person.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's something that we always try and communicate with organisations, isn't it? That like, this isn't going to, you can't just do a one-off and then everything is going to be hunky-dory, perfect, no discrimination whatsoever. Like, it is a journey, and you can't measure success from 1 2-hour workshop. It's got to be, even if it's not with us, we're just always like, you have to continue the work internally. You know, you have to keep on having these conversations. You have to make sure that you bring everyone into it, involve everybody. And
the value comes from embedding this into your everyday. And once you embed it, then the value, you can see the value every day. You see it so easily. And I think that's where people are misaligned or and stuff that they don't really quite understand. It's like a lot of people approach us for one-offs, and then they're trying to understand the value of that one-off, and then trying to measure the success of the one-off. And you're like, well, I can't be. It's just so difficult to come and do one workshop and then tell you this is how you're going to measure success from that workshop, because you're not. Like realistically, you're not. We can't come in and do one workshop around, I don't know, for instance, with inclusivity and recruitment, and then you go off and you change the way you recruit and you become inclusive overnight. You just can't, because you really have to unlearn a lot of these habits that we've all learned and picked up. And like, there's so much debunking of stereotyping and bias that we need to do. Oh God, I've just had that story come to my mind about the bloody award show.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that as well, because that is yeah.
Oh dear. But yeah, so this is what I'll tell you the story. We're moving around.
We're moving on.
What is DEI? I'm sure everyone's asking, or people that don't know. For those that don't know, what is DEI? What does D stand for?
Diversity.
E stands for equality. And I stands for inclusion. So yeah, DEI is diversity, equality and inclusion. Sometimes people switch up the E for those that are maybe slightly more advanced in their work, might do diversity, equity and inclusion. And some people just drop the D completely, and that's another episode, I tell you.
That is dropping the D. Some people are EE and I.
Yeah, that's next week's episode is dropping the D. Tune in. Oh God! But yeah, I do want to share this story. So, the reason why we do this work, actually, just going back, we get so caught up in our excitement that we forget to actually give some clarity.
I know.
So the clarity is that we do this work because, unfortunately, we don't live in a society where everyone gets treated equally, even though it's the law. We've got the Equalities Act of 2020. For those that don't know, it's protected characteristics. They protect 9 characteristics. And
2010, isn't it?
20. What did I just say?
2020.
Yeah, and it came in 2020.
Shit.
No, it's the Equalities Act of 2010. You're right. Thank you for correcting me.
Gotcha.
Got me. It protects you over 9 protected characteristics, and we're still trying to fight for equality and get everyone being treated equally. But the next step around equality is around equity and inclusion, because at the moment people aren't being treated equally, and there isn't equity in the work that people are doing. People aren't recognising that everyone is different, so actually we can't treat everyone the same, which is what equity is. And so then that falls into inclusion in this sense of belonging. There's people going into work, there's people going there around there every day who aren't feeling included. They don't feel like they belong. They're being outcasted or stereotyped, and that then leads into my story.
Just to clarify though, equity is treating everybody differently based on their individual needs, and equality is treating everyone the same, giving them the same resources and the same tools. Just wanted to clarify that little piece, because it does get quite confusing for a lot of people. A lot
of people still think that equity's got to do with finance.
I mean, so many D&I leaders are still striving for equality.
She's spilling the tea again. Someone get me a cloth.
Shit, I can't help myself.
Oh dear. But yeah, I think this leads into my story, and this is about people still needing to do the work, and some people they're not understanding the impact that some of the stuff that they do has on people. So I went to an awards evening at a venue. I'm not gonna name names. I went to an awards evening at a venue, and I walked in, and they said, "This is a private function," and I said, "Oh no, I'm here for the private function." And the bouncer and the lady on the door said, "What function are you here for?" Bearing in mind, said venue only had 1 room, so there's only one function. One function. And I said, "I'm here for the awards evening." And the bouncer turned around and said, "What awards are you actually here for?" And I said, "I am here for..." I was here for an awards. I'm not going to mention, because otherwise you'll make it. Anyway, I said, "I'm here for this said awards." And he said, "You can go in." And I just I felt really disappointed, because I'd also watched another 2 people walk in front of me and didn't get stopped. I then looked back, and there's another 2 people that walked in, didn't get stopped. And the only difference between me and them was that I was black. And I just felt sick to my gut, because I was like, I'm actually coming to potentially scoop an award for the work that we've done on Black History Month and the work that I'm doing around equality and inclusion, and that was literally stereotyping at its worst. And I got in and I felt really angry, and I remember I walked up to someone and I was like, "You won't understand what just happened to me." I said, "I can't believe it just happened to me. Give me some champagne." And I had
what a horrible way to start your evening off as well. It's supposed to be something really joyous and celebratory.
Yeah, it was just not nice. And I think, and this is what I mean, it goes back to educating and debunking some of these stereotypes. Like, I get it. Your job as a door person is to make sure that the right people come into the venue. If you're going to treat someone a certain way or ask a certain question, you need to ask everyone that question. Yeah. Because otherwise that's not inclusive, that's not equality. And I think, I've actually reached out to said venue and said, I want to make a complaint. I want to see how I can help you, because it happens a lot on the door of a lot of venues where, you know, you are stereotyped, you are put into a box, and you are made to feel like you don't belong here. And that's what I felt when I went up to the door. He said,
it's some sort of menace.
He said, like, it's a private function. And he looked at me and thought, you don't look like you belong in this private function.
Yeah.
And I just thought, who are you?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I couldn't find him when I left the venue with my award. So I was looking for him, and I really wanted to go, this is what I came here for, bitch!
Yeah.
No. But, you know, I was behaved and I walked out sensibly with said award in my hand.
On your shoulder.
But yeah, there's a lot of work. And do you know what's really funny about this is that people will assume that it was a white person doing it to a black person. It was actually a black guy doing it to me. So it doesn't happen. It's not just white on black, black on white. Do you know what I mean? It's unfortunately it's everywhere. It's literally stems from what we get shown on TV to what's in the media to single stories. And we'll come on to single stories in another episode because that's a completely different subject and that's how stereotypes form. But, you know, he needs to go and do some work around some of the biases that he has around certain people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a very, very interesting. And, you know, I'll let you all know how it goes on with my complaint and my help with this venue, because I think they'll probably come back to us and be like, yeah, come in. Let's do some work. Let's do some work. And we've said it before, haven't we, around security?
Yeah, there's a piece around collaborating with some security firms, I think, because it's quite it happens on, you know, like social venues, but also like within retail, it happens a lot. You know, the amount of times that I've actually been into stores with you and we're just pottering around and I'm like, why is this guy following us everywhere? And, you know, then it's very obvious that he is stereotyping or she is stereotyping and stereotyping you.
Yeah. And it's become normal now in the retail store, but going to venues has stopped. I haven't had that as much. So it was a real shock to the system when it happened last week. But yeah, it's one of those things that I want to really get into because I think it does need some help, the security world.
If you own a security firm, get in touch.
Yeah, hit us up. We are here. The thing is with us as well is like, we had a meeting last week with someone, and you know, meetings don't always lead into business. It can lead into us just having a conversation, and then it sparks their own work and their own ideas, and you know, and we're happy with that. Like it starts with a conversation, like, and the conversation may lead to you doing some work internally first before coming back to us and stuff, and then we're more than happy for that. For us, it's just actually about making some change.
Yeah,
like that's all we care about. It's just real change and things that you can see that the dial starts to move. Like I want to see the dial move. I want to see things start becoming a lot better, and it's not there yet.
No,
it's just not there yet.
Okay, so we've come to the Q&A part of the show where we're going to discuss what's important to you and what's important to us and how we can help you, help us, help you.
Help you, help us.
I feel like Jerry Maguire. Literally, I do. Have you seen that film?
No.
Oh. Help me. Help you. Help me. Yeah, it's funny. You need to watch it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some questions and we're going to answer, because for us it's all about education. It's all about sharing the knowledge, spreading the word, and this is why it's important. So, what are the questions?
I feel like you're on some sort of dance show. Am I on the wrong podcast?
Can't help moving my arms.
It's like this, like that, like this, like that. It's a lot of movement. Jeez. Anyway, back to our scheduled event. So I think for us, it's like, you know, this is the start of our podcast journey. This is like episode 1, season 1. And, you know, we posed a question out on our socials a couple of weeks ago, and we put it out a few times, and it just said, you know, if you're at the start of your journey, ask us a couple of questions that might be able to help you. And so we're going to go through some of those questions today. And the first question on the screen there is, we're at the start of our journey. What do we do first? Basic. So, what do you do first?
Not for everybody.
What do you mean?
It's not basic for everyone, is it?
No, but it's like
a minefield.
No, I'm saying that it's a very basic question in terms of like, what do you do first? Like literally, what do you do first? Where do you go? We had this question last week from someone that we had to. Yeah, we had to call us and 07801. They had a question. The guy we had a meeting with last week asked us like, where does he start?
Yeah,
and that's a question that gets asked quite a lot actually.
He was so honest, wasn't he? He was like, I basically have come here because I don't know what I need.
Yeah, he did. He said that. Bless him. Love him. And I think I would always say to people is to start from the beginning. Just joking. Just joking. I need to stop joking. It's not funny.
You answered the question with the question.
So I would say you can't do anything without data because it's very difficult to measure success without data. You need data. So the way to capture data is by doing some sort of an E&I or diversity and inclusion survey to find out from your team. First of all, you want to find out who you've got within your team. So like, what's the demographic or what's the makeup?
Just before that part though, where you do that, you do have to communicate with the team that this sort of thing is going to be taking place and why it's taking place, and that you're starting this journey and that you need to capture this data for X, Y, and Z to happen.
She's the one! So... She's the one! She's the goat, everyone! Fuck, yeah. Sorry. Rewind selector. Let's go back to the beginning. Start again.
Ask the question again.
Yeah. No, we're leaving it in.
Okay.
Yeah, we're leaving it in.
We make mistakes.
Yeah.
We roll. So, yeah, you start again from the beginning. So if I made a mistake, you don't start with data first. You start with a statement.
You start with a statement, yeah.
Statement.
Like a mission
why?
statement.
Yeah, why?
Your
ethos, your values. You're aligning. You need to align your business to E&I work and why you're doing it. Why now?
Yeah.
And what's the impact on the business? And where do you potentially see it going? What's the plan?
Yeah.
And even if you don't have a plan, you just go, we're doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
We're doing it because we want to make sure that this place becomes a more inclusive place for everyone to work, and we want to recognise your individuality.
And you as our people feel like you belong here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can be your statement. You don't have to then have a plan, but you need to have a statement that kind of lays out to the team that you are on this journey and they're on the journey with you. And then you can collect data.
Yes.
And you find out who you have in your teams, what the demographics of the makeup of the team are, what they are looking for, what maybe is not working for them, what is working for them. I'd always say throw in some stuff around well-being as well, because
absolutely
the alignment between DEI, diversity, equality and inclusion, and well-being is
parallel.
That's the word. I couldn't think of it and I was just doing this for a while to get my brain going, but it's parallel. And that's really, really important. So that's what I would say you start off with, and then from there, once you get the information from that survey, you can then start to feed that into building a strategy, because your people will tell you what they want.
That is where it comes from. It's the focus groups, the listening groups, that you can build out of that data collection, that you then start to shape out your strategy and what you'll find areas of disparity, what you need. Yeah, absolutely. That's where you start. Next question.
I've got a question for you. If you want one.
There's one on the screen, James. I'm not okay. So the other question on the screen there is, can you do this with your engagement survey? Because a lot of people feel like the engagement survey always gives you enough information to be able to build an E&I strategy. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, no. Well, it depends really, because that's really reflective of what the content was of your engagement survey. If you were very specific around E&I, then perhaps, yes, you can collect that data from your engagement survey. But if your engagement survey is just like, about your company as a whole, and it's not very specific, and it's not asking direct questions about how people feel towards your E&I strategy or towards how you treat your people and their belonging, etc., then you're not really going to collect the right data, and then it's just a waste.
Yeah, and I think engagement surveys focus on how people feel around the workplace, and people do tend to add in some E&I questions, but you still won't get
maybe a few.
You won't get the data around the demographics and the makeup of your team and the engagement survey.
Not.
So I always feel like when you want to start moving the dial and you want to, so for instance, you're looking potentially at representation, how are you going to measure success about representation if you don't have the data around the demographics of people that are in your business? And also if you're thinking about equity, you can't be equitable if you don't know the people that work there.
I would always suggest the data collection is a separate piece, and it is very transparent, and it is very much like we are collecting personal data. This is why we're collecting the personal data. And then the engagement survey is a separate thing, and that's more about emotion and how people feel at work, and how their leaders are leading them, etc. I think with the data collection you have to be very clear, very honest, very transparent. Otherwise, it was personal stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is personal stuff. And people find it really difficult. People lack trust in workplaces. Yeah. It's a sad state of affairs considering you spend 80% of your time nearly at work. People don't trust them. People don't trust where they work.
Especially if you're really at the beginning of this journey.
Yeah.
Because nothing's been done around it already. So that trust hasn't begun to be
build
built
it.
yet.
Yeah. The other question that is on there, so third question is, who owns this? What department owns this?
It falls under HR a lot, doesn't it?
It always falls on the HR's back.
But then the people team are what I found is people teams are normally built out of HR anyway, or kind of sit within HR, dependent on the size of the business, I suppose. And then it kind of falls down to whoever wants to volunteer, doesn't it?
Yeah, I always think when people ask the question, who's in charge of this, it should be a company-wide thing. It should 100%. Be led by everyone. It needs to be led from the exec team to the marketing team to the people team to the ops team. Everyone needs to own a segment of it because it only works when everyone is involved in it. Yeah. I think if it sits in the HR or people function, then the omnis or the workload all falls onto those people to champion it, and it's really difficult for it to champion from one funnel.
Also, it's too difficult for it to just sit under one department, because then you have to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. Yeah. Whereas actually you need a master of every department to be able to collectively bring it all together, and then have shit hot DEI plan for your whole business that's running through the veins of the business.
Yeah, and that's where we've seen it work really well, is when you've got representatives from each department sitting around a table to kind of come up with the strategy, because then you're getting an understanding around the impact it will have on each different department in different ways. That's that. So another question that's the last question that's on here, and it says, so from a personal level, I'm sitting at home and I want to know, how do I do this work on my own at home? How do I self-reflect? I would say...
This is what
I would say that the best thing to do is to start by listening to our podcast. Is a very good start. But also follow us on socials. We share a lot of information around language, because I always think that the first step is to start to identify potentially where you might miscommunicate with people, or where you need to do the work around your bias and your privilege, and understand your bias and privilege.
That's where I think I would start off. Privileges, understanding where my privileges are, addressing my privileges, my advantages over other people. I think that's where I would definitely start. And Sylvia Duckworth, Wheel of Privilege.
Sylvia Duckworth's Wheel of Privilege and Power. If you don't know, now you know. But she has this amazing illustration on social. We'll add the link in our show notes. And it's a wheel of power and privilege, and basically it just demonstrates in a really clear way of understanding intersectionality and power and privilege and marginalisation. And it's, basically you can go around this wheel and identify where you sit in terms of each intersection that you are made up. So each characteristic that makes up who we are, where you sit, the closer you are to the middle, the more power you might have in that specific element or area, and the further you away from you are from the center of the circle, the more marginalized you are, and the less power you might have for that specific characteristic. And I think that's probably the first place to go, is to go, we are not all the same.
Yeah.
Right? We've made up of loads of different characteristics, and each of those characteristics brings advantages and disadvantages, and that's what they call intersectionality. And, you know, for instance, I'm black, I'm a man, I'm 2020 vision, and that gives me different advantages and disadvantages for each of those three characteristics. You know, I have a more advantage over you because I'm a man. And that's one characteristic. I'm gay, I have less advantages over you. Do you know what I mean? So and those things are really important for us to identify, that each of those characteristics make up who we are, and they all bring different advantages and disadvantages. People aren't just what they seem. So you can't just look at someone.
You can't look at somebody and
assume
know everything about them.
Yeah.
And just,
You have to know that everyone is made up of so much more than what meets the eye. And that's the first places to go, is to understand privilege, power, intersectionality. And then from there, you can then rebuild on.
Then you start to notice where your biases are, and then you can start to tackle your own biases, and it's about self-reflection and that inward work. But I think that starting off with something that's visual, it's kind of like an activity, really, isn't it? It's like a little visual activity. It's quite fun. You know, it's quite eye-opening. It's a nice little piece to start off with. You know, sit there and...
I'm not saying go out and share share your privilege with people in terms of like sharing, oh, did you know that I'm privileged in here and here and here and here. It's just about having that self-reflection.
Because I think, piece,
it's a real reflection piece, and that just understanding who I am as a person and how I see the world, because everyone sees the world through different lenses. And I've got this thing around, people always say, oh, you haven't walked a day in my shoes, and people always go, I want to walk a day in someone else's shoes. You can never do that. You physically cannot walk in someone else's shoes. I thought I had some music. It's like music coming in over my voiceover. You can't walk in someone else's shoes because it's just impossible. The only way to understand people is to understand that people have different lenses, and so you can do that, I think, by understanding your privilege in certain situations, because then you're able to see someone else's lens potentially. So
and it's about actually connecting with people and finding those people who have different lenses to you, listening and being empathetic. And that's the way that you can walk in someone else's shoes, is by being empathetic and listening and, you know, trying to imagine what it would be like in certain situations for you and how you might respond in certain situations. I think that's the only way you can begin to imagine to walk in somebody else's shoes, because it is an imaginative piece. Yeah,
empathy is something that is really, really important part of this work, is like being empathetic, understanding that everyone is different.
Yeah, for sure.
And that would be the advice that I'd give if you're wanting to do this work at home on your own, and you know it's not about at work and stuff. It's start by identifying your privilege and understand power, and then you can fall into start understanding where your biases sit. And then one thing I always say as a society, there's a great Martin Luther King quote that I can't remember from the top of my head, and it's about fear. And about communicating, and I think we all...
it's people fear each other because they don't communicate, and they don't communicate
because they fear each other.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
We'll have to find that one.
Yeah. Pop it up, yeah. But it's amazing. It's an amazing quote because people actually don't talk to each other enough. They don't communicate with each other because we're scared. We're scared of making mistakes, and it's so difficult to try and get out of that fear of not wanting to make a mistake. And I think you need to go out and talk to people, make mistakes, and learn from that.
And actually, when you have identified where your privileges are and you start to tackle your own biases, and you're then really honest about mistakes that you have made or might make, it actually becomes more authentic. You become more authentic as a person in your conversation, and then you just kind of adopt a new perspective. I think actually a lot of people don't sit down and think, oh, what do I actually think about the world and what's going on? Because it's such a rat race. We're all so busy all the time. I'm busy. Like, when do people actually sit down and do that?
Yeah, they don't. People
Yeah.
don't. We don't really have enough time.
We do it all the time,
Yeah.
don't we? We're like, busy, so
Too
busy.
James has put the quote up there for us. People fail to get along because they fear each other. And they fear each other because they don't know each other. And they don't know each other because they have not communicated with each other. Martin Luther King Jr.
It's so simple.
So simple.
So true.
But so ridiculous that we literally are scared of talking to each other. And we don't know enough about each other because we're scared of talking to each other. Let's get rid of the fear and just go in head on. Head on.
Yeah.
Head on. Well, that concludes the Q&A section of our show. So let's just summarise. Obviously, we've covered we've actually covered quite a lot of stuff.
We've covered quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So we've covered DEI, just for those that don't remember, I might fast forwarded it. DEI is diversity, equality and inclusion, and sometimes you might find that diversity and equity and inclusion rather than equality, and that's what we kind of are working on. That's I guess our goal is around making sure that every business and everywhere is equitable for people and that everyone has a sense of inclusion and belonging. So we've covered that off. We talked a lot today about value and the value around this work, and really understanding that putting the value behind it doesn't always just mean putting money behind it, but it's about putting the money and the time.
It's about time,
and understanding that there's emotional tax.
And bringing your people into it.
Bringing your people into the journey. And we also touched on, with the story around stereotyping and bias and how there's work that needs to be done around, security, and we're hoping that we'll be able to do some more work within that field.
And there'll definitely be some further episodes that we can dive deeper into those topics.
Absolutely. And we've also dropped a little sneak peek into next week's episode around talking about the D. Dropping the D. So that'll be next week's episode, all around dropping the D. But it's the first episode, everyone. This is our first episode, and I'm super proud of us because it's been a long time coming.
We've chatted about this for time.
But we have, honestly, the first time we sat and talked about our business for what we wanted to do with SISU, when we built our website, we even put it on there, SISU podcast coming soon. And it's been there since day dot. And we've now 2.5 years in, and now that coming soon is probably going to be changing to SISU going live on.
So we hope that everybody will enjoy it as much as we're enjoying doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a nice little slide into our manis for the week, because that is a manifestation that we have been practicing for 2 years now, and it's finally come to fruition.
Yeah. And it works. It really works.
It does work.
Put it out to the universe will deliver.
As long as you put in the work with it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, you can't just put it out there and just go, well, I'll just sit here and wait for that to come in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the section of our show that we are just going to be doing every week, and we love this bit, and it's called the manis for the week.
Yeah, what's your mani?
Oh, I'm going first. So my mani for the week, my manifestation for the week is all around patience. I really need to, I sometimes think I would say I run before I walk, but I don't like running. So I'd say I skip before I walk. And I need to really work this week on just slowing down and being a bit more patient with people, with projects, and with myself. I think I'm always trying to, we had a conversation about this at the weekend about always looking for the next thing. And I think it's the African in me. I think it's the Nigerian in me because, we are high achievers. So, I think it's ingrained in my blood. So, but I'm really going to focus this week on patience. Beautiful. I'm going to take my time.
I love that.
Yeah. So what's your manifestation this week?
My money for this week is going to be around focus. I need to focus on myself a little bit. Bring back the self-care. It's gone a bit wayward recently. As I said at the beginning, I've had a little bit too much going on in the brain, and I've let myself go, essentially. I mean, what is this? What is this fucking blazer?
Stop it.
So I need to bring it back to me. Bringing it back to me. My manny this week is focus on Louisa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bless her. I went round to her house last night for a roast, and she's like, I don't have any clothes. I want in the wash. Just don't know what I'm wearing tomorrow.
Apparently, I've gone to my nan's wardrobe.
So she's come in tonight with her nan's blazer, which is, it's chic. Everyone, it's chic.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just not wearing it with the right stuff. But...
No, I don't think your nan probably didn't wear it with I don't know what that is, a crop top.
I'm getting slagged.
The tea, I'm
Focus
spilling
for the
it.
week is me.
Yeah, so the 2 words this week that we're manifesting is focus and patience. So you please join us when like manifesting what you want to manifest and share it with us. Send that in. We want to hear from you. Like, even if it's not just your manifestation, we want to hear more of your questions.
Yeah.
This is an interactive session. This is not just about Louisa and I. This is about all of you. So come in, join us, be part of this, breathe this.
We're building a community.
The community is coming. The community. The community is coming. Anyway, I need to stop talking. So, yeah, that is the end of Podcast 1, Season 1.
Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and follow us on our socials, which are...
This is LinkedIn, and this is SISU on Instagram, and this is SISU on TikTok. We're on the TikTok, people! We're on the TikTok!
Oh.
But yeah, don't forget to follow us, and stay brave, stay curious, and stay honest, everyone.
And
Thank
please
you.
share this with somebody who you think needs to spark their curiosity.